Hello everyone, my name is Mikhail and I would like to share a bit knowledge which I obtained during my studies in Essex University, where I drill human rights. So my main thesis, all my presentation should be something like expressed with one sentence, such as: for balancing copyright, we should find solution outside of copyright. So, in my opinion, if we would like to do so in a peaceful way, we should use international human rights law. And this name of the presentation, let's imagine that copyright is not harmonized. I mean that there are many discussions about what is exceptions and limitation, blah blah blah, but mostly rights harmonized, but international treaties such as TRIPS agreement in WTO and our well-known Berne Convention and a lot of free trade areas and agreements. So that's okay. Maybe just good image. Next one. Yes, copyright not balanced with human rights, but not just freedom of expression or freedom of information. This is maybe a question for well-developed countries where you can discuss about a lot of different political issues, but for many developing countries and countries which we known as a global south, it is not issue. And this country can discuss on the topics the right to education, right to participate in cultural life, or right to, for example, development. Yes, all these rights, it is not just words, it is these rights was adopted and ratified by almost 200 countries in a well-known international covenant such as the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights and International Covenant of Economical, Social and Cultural Rights. So this is global to something like we have two global regimes. One regime is a intellectual property regime, and in this specific point is a copyright regime, which was based on TRIPS and Berne Conventions and the related. And on the other hand, we have human rights regime. So that is what we can and what, in my opinion, can have some positive results when we move the discussion about this on this direction. So next slide. Yes, and I would develop a bit why recent, current tools inside of copyright, international copyright law are useless. So this is the free tools which we know as a compulsory license, which related to Berne Appendix 1961, and now it is have some new reincarnation in the Marrakesh WIP Treaty. The second one is so-called sui generis legal definition, which is not obvious for normal people and even for a lot of lawyers. And yes, and the third one is a legendary three-step test, which some guys understand as opportunity, some guys understand as a blue moment. So yes, let's go. Okay, and this was something like writer U. Smears. This guy is from Netherlands, and he wrote maybe 4 years ago books. Let's imagine that there is no copyright and multinational corporation. Yes, let's start from compulsory license. Mostly we know these points from patent laws, when a lot of developing countries fight for different medicines and drugs against HIV, but these provisions was organized in a in a Berne Convention and amendments, and in the amendments of Berne Convention 40 years ago, when after global copyright crisis, where a lot of developing countries become independent after colonialism. So yes, this is a yes. What is the main points? Appendix, what is emergency, education, and yes, and this appendix usually calls as educational appendix, but education, it is not one step. Okay, 5 minutes, that's enough. Educational appendix, it is not the something like about what is the emergency of education. For example, if we talk about some pandemic, it's obvious that okay, we should fight against this this problem right now and right here. But education is a process for many years, and a lot of developing countries, not just developing countries, but for example, Ireland or post-Soviet countries, they have a lot of issues in education. And is this point for using a compulsory license in Berne Appendix? Okay, now I don't explain what is Berne Appendix, and I hope you read it after my presentation. Yes, and the other point is in this in Marrakesh Treaty now, and in Berne Appendix 40 years ago, we have the same bottleneck, which called as I don't know, I don't remember special law definition, but it looks like state can define some operators, entity for providing the service for publishing books and adopting books in Braille. So that's about compulsory license. So these tools, in my opinion, and many other guys who are scientists, not useful in this case. And other about sui generis, we know this is from European law, especially for protecting investments for creators, not creators, but investors of databases. But this sui generis is a broad concept which describes specific rights in some law. We have in copyright law we have exemptions and limitations, and usually traditional knowledge and knowledge from produced methods produced in tribes, different communities in far islands in Pacific Ocean is not under copyright protection on the one hand. So this is the question that we have. On the other hand, we have yes, we have some legal documents, global legal documents, such as a convention for rights to indigenous people inside of International Labour Organization, or some documents, some declaration which describe this sui generis on the other hand. But we have something like big gaps that usually all these conventions for protecting rights for indigenous people mostly ratified by countries of Latin America or global south, but not global north. On other case, sui generis for protecting some investment in copyright law protected by global north. So this is another disbalance. I will be short in other case. Three-step test is play in one this is one sentence for explanation. This who has more money can prove anything what they want. So Berne test is a useless point for using in developing countries this something like providing different rights. And okay, yes, can education interpret it as special case? Yes, because three-step test is about special case, some using oh yes, my last point is about countries who is not in EU, because world is broader than you, and previous block was mostly about you. So how to deal, for example, if in my country we have linguistic minorities, but big producers don't care about translating this? Should we follow the copyright, or should we just take this text and translate it for our local language and providing for education, for developing our community? So this is I have two answers. My answers is oh, time is out. Okay, my answers is about that we can use human rights law, and other point is many countries from global global south and developing countries can use copyright vacation, that they should stop any rules which will infringe the developing rights to education, and so on and so forth. Thank you very much.